So on my TV growing up for topics like this, we had like Brian Cox. I suppose in America that you would have Neil deGrasse Tyson. So how much can we trust sort of science popularizers then?
Right. So here is my take. Both names you mentioned are people that, you can look at their CV, and a resume, and you will realize that they haven't published a single scientific paper in recent history. And by history, I mean 10 years, 15 years, maybe even 20 years. So it's just like seeing someone comment on soccer, and that person did not play soccer for 2 decades. So, it's okay for anyone to express their opinions, but they are not representing the players. They are not in the trenches doing the actual scientific work. They're just commenting on it. Now, what does it mean? It means that they're trying to be popular. How can they be popular if they're not talking about the actual scientific work, but they're talking about work that was done by others? The only way for them to be popular is to stay out of any controversial topics and represent what the popular view is among scientists. So basically, when they see the wind blowing in one direction, they would justify that direction. Okay, they will not criticize it because they want to be popular and they're representing the sort of the popular view of the scientific community. But that popular view may not be justified. For example, for 50 years, there is a whole community in theoretical physics working on string theory. And that is based on the possible existence of extra dimensions. We don't know if there are extra dimensions. We don't know if there is a multiverse. These are popular ideas among the community of people who are engaged for 50 years in this hypothesis, I would say. The problem is there is no path to testing that hypothesis. Even though it's popular, if you look at it, it's just being used as a sandbox to demonstrate that these people are mathematically capable. They can do intellectual gymnastics, show that they are smart. And, they keep working on this, but it's not physics in the traditional sense of that Richard Feynman defined. He was one of the most celebrated physicists 50 years ago, before string theory. And he said that it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how distinguished you are. If your idea does not agree with experiment, you are wrong. Okay. So the whole point of doing physics is to learn something about nature, about the physical reality. And that is done by allowing a test of your idea, by experimental test. But instead, you have a culture that dominated the field of theoretical physics, which is not based on any experimental test. In fact, they don't even want it. They don't need it because it would bother them if they happen to be wrong. It must be right. Let's not even test it. We don't need to test it. We just use it as a way of demonstrating that we can do mathematical manipulations. And if you ask those science popularizers, they will always praise that approach because it's popular. Now, suppose you imagine, another reality where quantum loop gravity, would have been more popular than string theory. Then you would find Brian Cox and Neil deGrasse Tyson praising quantum loop gravity. They would not criticize quantum loop gravity the way that string theorists are criticizing it right now. And so they would simply represent, sort of a popularity poll within the scientific community, but not the way things are if you were engaged in the actual research where you would criticize things that are uncertain. And so what I represent is quite different. I write a few papers, scientific papers every month. I'm engaged in the actual research. I lead a project called the Galileo Project that is trying to get evidence on questions that the public cares about. So that is very different. It's just like playing in the field, being in the trenches, actually doing the work, but also talking about it. And that's very different from popularizing the work that other people are doing, which is just like, sitting on the bench and commenting on the players in the field.